Uh, what is a dinosaur? DNA. Now we are considering DNA.
DNA is the genetic blueprint that contains all the instructions needed to construct a living organism. Millions of years ago, biting insects sucked the blood of dinosaurs. Palm trees exude resin, and many insects get trapped in this sticky substance, which then hardens to form amber. If an insect were preserved after biting a dinosaur, the dinosaur's blood, containing DNA, would remain intact. Small fragments of DNA may also survive in bone. If DNA is extracted, it is unlikely that dinosaurs could be recreated. But analysis of the DNA would answer many questions about dinosaurs.
Dinosaur DNA. Deoxyribonucleic acid, is a collection of atoms that contains all instruction needed to construct and operate a living organism. Many people are fascinated by the question whether any dinosaur DNA could have survived. If it is survived, it could be used to recreate dinosaurs. Scientific research shows that it is extremely unlikely that dinosaur DNA could have been preserved intact. It is even more unlikely that dinosaurs could be recreated today from any DNA found. There is still a great deal that we do not know about DNA. As yet, scientists have not been able to reconstruct a mammoth from fossil DNA, a mere 10,000 years old, and most recent dinosaurs lived 65 million years ago. Despite the overwhelming evidence against the likelihood of finding dinosaur DNA intact, some people like to believe that it is possible. One theory of how DNA could have been preserved is explained here. Blood-sucking insects, mosquitoes, midgets, and certain other flies sometimes bite into our skin and suck our blood. Evidently, some dinosaurs suffered as well and were prey to ancestors of these blood-sucking insects. The dinosaur blood swallowed by these flies could have been contained blood cells which in turn contain DNA. Trapped in amber, suppose one of these ancient biting flies landed on a nearby pine tree just after feeding on dinosaur blood. Pine trees exude thick, sticky resin from cracks and wounds in their trunks. The biting insect could have been covered by a large blob of resin that suddenly dripped down the trunk. Death would have been rapid, not allowing the time for the fly to digest its final meal. The fly would not rot away because it was encased in the resin, away from the air and bacteria that normally decompose dead animals. Over millions of years, the resin would harden and fossilize to form a block of clear yellow amber. The trapped insect would remain intact and preserved. From DNA to dinosaur, if the block of amber were discovered today, it could be cut open and insect intestines containing the last meal could be removed. Dinosaur DNA could be extracted from the remnant of the blood in the fly's intestines. This could then be transferred into some cells that would then multiply to produce a clone, exact copy of a dinosaur that died many millions of years before. The fascinating prospect, but in reality this has not been possible. In practice, the DNA that has so far been extracted from insects pursued in amber has been a mixture of DNA from more recent organisms. Keeping warm. Now we are considering keeping warm.
Like these reptiles, dinosaurs may have been cold-blooded creatures. These iguanas are basking in the sun to absorb heat. While it is cold, a reptile's movements are sluggish, and as it heats up, it becomes more active. If a reptile becomes overheated, it cools off by moving into the shade. Yet unlike reptiles, dinosaurs had straight legs, suggesting that they may have been warm-blooded animals. Modern-day mammals and birds with an upright stance are all warm-blooded, like this fast-moving rhino.
Body temperature. Now we are considering body temperature. The most animals, including reptiles, are cold-blooded. Uh, Cold-blooded. Their body temperature and how active they are depends on depend on the surrounding temperature. Warm-blooded animals, mammals, and birds maintain a constant high body temperature and are active, however hot or cold their surroundings. Dinosaurs may have been warm-blooded or cold-blooded. Here, reptiles, an animal that has waterproof skin and bred on land by laying eggs. Young reptiles hatch as miniature versions of their parents. A reptile is an ectothermic, cold-blooded animal, which means that it depends on the surrounding temperature to control its body temperature. As a result, reptiles cannot live in cold parts of the world. Reptiles include snakes, lizards, crocodiles, turtles, and dinosaurs. Here, mammals, an animal with hair that feeds its young on milk produced by mammary glands. The mammal is an endothermic, warm-blooded animal, which means that it keeps its body warm through its body's chemical process. Mammals make up one of the most diverse mammal groups, including cats, whales, bats, elephants, and humans. Birds, an animal with feathers that breeds by laying eggs. A bird is an endothermic warm-blooded animal, which means that it keeps its body warm through its body chemicals process. Birds are not only animals with a backbone that are capable of powered flight. Birds are more widespread flying animals and include hummingbirds, vultures, and parrots. Here you can see a deep, narrow body. Stegosaurus may have been warm-blooded or cold-blooded. Here you can see a shallow skull, and here you can see bony plates.
If Stegosaurus had been warm-blooded, it would have generated enough heat inside its body to maintain a constant body temperature. Stegosaurus would have needed to eat continually in order to digest enough food to make the energy to create its own body heat. It would have had a blood system with two circuits. The fully divided heart would have pumped a low-pressure circuit from the body of deoxygenated blood, this means blood without oxygen, to the lungs to pick up oxygen. The divided heart would have pumped a second high-pressure circuit of oxygenated blood to the rest of the body. When the weather was cool, Stegosaurus could have remained active as it would have generated enough heat inside its body to maintain a constant body temperature.
Cold blood theory. Sometimes some scientists argue that dinosaurs must have been cold-blooded like all other reptiles, animals that have waterproof skin and legs. The main evidence for dinosaurs being cold-blooded is described below. Following a brief explanation of what it means to be cold-blooded animal. Body temperature. An animal's body consists of billions of tiny cells. Each cell's like a chemical factory in miniature, where thousands of chemical reactions are taking place all the time. The speed of these chemical reactions determines how active an animal is. The chemical reactions also depend on the temperature inside an animal's body. If the temperature is cold, reactions take place slowly and the animal is sluggish. If the temperature becomes too cold or too hot, reactions stop altogether, and the animal dies. An animal's body works best and achieves the highest degree of right degree of activity if the body temperature is constant and warm. Cold-blooded animals. A cold-blooded animal is a better described as ectotherm, which means outside heat. Firstly, because it is not always cold, and secondly, because it gains its heat from its surroundings. Ectothermic animals such as lizards can control their body temperature by their behavior. During the day, they bask in the sun to warm up, and if it gets too hot, they shelter in the shade to cool down. Although an ectothermic animal can remain active during the day, it becomes slow and inactive at night or on cool, cloudy days. Scientific debate. So, were dinosaurs ectothermic? So, were dinosaurs ectothermic? Nobody knows for certain, but scientists who believe that dinosaurs were ectothermic argue that they were able to stay warm and active by living in the warm climate and by having a large body with small surface area, which loses heat slowly. Dinosaur activity, Earth climate during the Jurassic period, 208 to 144 million years ago, and Cretaceous period, 144 to 65 million years ago, when dinosaurs dominated life on land, was warm and unchanging. Therefore, dinosaurs could have been ectothermic and still active, because massive plant eaters such as Brachiosaurus had a small surface area in relation to their large body volume. They would have lost body heat slowly and could have maintained a constant temperature regardless of any changes of temperature between day and night. Similarly, a warm climate meant that active predators such as uh, Deinonychus could still have been ectothermic, but would not been needed to hunt often because their food time requirement would have been far less than those of warm-blooded animals. The rest of time could have been spent basking in the sun to top up body heat. Dinosaur blood supply. Many dinosaurs held their head high above upright body. In order for blood to reach the head, it would have needed to be pumped by the heart at such a high pressure that it would have damaged the delicate tissues of the lungs. Birds, animals that have feathers and mammals, animals that have hair and feed their young on milk, avoid this problem by having a divided heart with separate chambers. One side pump blood under low pressure to uh, lungs to pick up oxygen, while other half pumps blood under high pressure to rest of the body. The the argument here is that dinosaurs must have had divided heart to generate high blood pressure, but many have still remained may have still remained ectothermic. Dinosaurs may have benefited from greater efficiency of four-chambered heart. They may also have used the sun to keep their body warm and active rather than needing to forage constantly for food in order to generate heat internally. Dinosaur size. Many dinosaurs grow on to an immense size. It is evident that dinosaurs were ectotherms. It has been argued that huge dinosaurs such as 45 metric ton or 44 imperial tons Brachiosaurus could not be warm-blooded because they would not have had enough surface area to cool down uh, when overheated. Dinosaur behavior. Scientists believe that many dinosaurs were capable of complex behavior such as parental care, herding, and pack hunting because complex behavior of these types is not common in cold-blooded reptiles, although there are some exceptions such as crocodiles. Some scientists argue that dinosaurs were not ectothermic. Complex behavior is generally displayed by warm-blooded animals, mammals, and birds. Dinosaur bone. Microscopic studies of dinosaur bone have shown that it's similar to the bone of the modern large mammals. However, further research has shown that some dinosaur bone has similarities with reptile bone. Therefore, the evidence for dinosaur being ectothermic, warm-blooded, based on the bone formation is not strong. Many scientists believe that most dinosaurs were mass homeotherms. Mass homeothermy is when an animal keeps its body temperature constant by having a large body with a small surface area. When they were young, dinosaurs were probably warm-blooded and they appear to have lower their body temperature. Worm blood theory. Worm-blooded animal is better described as an endotherm, which means inside heat. This is because warm-blooded animals use the heat released by their cells' chemical reaction from food energy to maintain constant body temperature. In conditions of extreme heat or cold, endothermic control their temperature by sweating or shivering, and some have an outer covering of hair or feathers to keep in warmth. By being constantly warm, endotherms can remain active at all times, regardless of the outside temperature. Endotherms can also sustain a much larger brain and display more complex behavior. To maintain a constant body temperature, endotherms must have steady input of food in order to release enough heat energy to keep it warm. For that reason, it needs to eat much more food than cold-blooded animal of the same size. Scientific debate. So were dinosaurs endothermic? Nobody knows for certain, but many scientists argue that they were, most notably Bob Baker. Since 1966, he has championed the idea that dinosaurs were active endotherms. Scientists use the following reasoning to supply their theory. Superior endotherms. Modern day endotherms are considered to be superior to modern day ectothermic cold-blooded animals because they were more active and intelligent. Modern day endotherms are birds, animals that have feathers, and mammals, animals that have their hair and feed their young on milk. The modern day ectotherms are reptiles, animals that have waterproof skin and lay eggs. Uh, Mammals and dinosaurs evolved at about the same time, more than 220 million years ago. For dinosaurs to have been successful, they must have been able to compete effectively with early mammals. Dinosaur posture: dinosaurs had straight, upright legs that supported their bodies. This type of posture enabled dinosaurs to move more efficiently and rapidly. The only modern animals that have a similar stance are mammals and birds, both endotherms. It is argued that to be able to be active with an erect posture, the dinosaurs must have been endotherms. Dinosaur blood supply. Many dinosaurs held their head high above the upright body. In order for the blood to reach the head, it would have needed to be pumped by the heart at high pressure. Birds and mammals have a divided heart with separate chambers. One side pumps blood under low pressure to the lungs to pick up the oxygen, and while the other half pumps blood under high pressure to the rest of the body. The argument here is that dinosaurs must have had a divided heart to generate high blood pressure. So it is likely that they were endothermic. Dinosaur size and activity. It has been argued that massive dinosaurs such as uh, 45 metric tons or 44 imperial tons Brachiosaurus could not have been cold-blooded because they would never have warmed up in the sun as result of their body surface area is being so small in comparison to the massive volume. Similarly, the smaller predatory dinosaur like Deinonychus would have not been sufficiently active to be able to run fast and slash at its prey unless it is endothermic. Dinosaur brain size. Endotherms, birds and mammals display complex behavior because they possess a brain that is large and in relation to the body size. The large brain needs to be kept at even warm temperature, and only an endotherms can support such brain. Studies of relative brain size of some theropods, beast-footed dinosaur, and some uh, ornithopods, bird-footed dinosaurs, show that the size of the brain was above average. It is therefore argued that some members of these two groups may have been endothermic. Dinosaur behavior. Scientists believe that many dinosaurs were capable of complex behavior such as parental care, herding, and pack hunting. Since complex behavior of these types is also shown by birds and mammals, some experts argue that dinosaurs were endothermic. Dinosaur bone. Microscopic studies of dinosaur bone have shown that it is similar. It is similar to the bone of the modern large mammals. Like mammals' bone, dinosaur bone contains many blood vessels, indicating that uh, they may have endothermic. Dinosaurs and birds. Some scientists believe that birds which are endothermic evolved from the group of theropods, beast-footed dinosaurs. This may indicate that theropods and perhaps all dinosaurs were endothermic. Masked homeotherms. Many scientists believe that most dinosaurs were masked homeotherms. Masked homeothermy is when an animal keeps its body temperature constant by having a large body with a small surface area. When the dinosaurs were young, they were probably warm-blooded, and they appear to have lowered their body temperature. When they grew up and their body attained a large size. Uh, uh, um, Now we are anatomy of a dinosaur. Now we are considering anatomy of a dinosaur. Um, the dinosaurs, whose name means terrible lizards, were amazingly successful group of vertebrates that dominated the life on land for 150 million years. All dinosaurs were reptiles, yet unlike all other reptiles, they had straight legs. Uh, all dinosaurs are grouped as either ornithischian or saurischian according to the structure of their hip bones. Here, vertebrates, an animal that has a backbone. Vertebrate animals include fish, amphibians, reptiles, birds, and mammals. Most animals, including worms and insects, lack a backbone and are called invertebrates. Reptiles, an animal that has waterproof skin and breeds on land by laying eggs. Young reptiles hatch a miniature version of their parents. A reptile is an ectothermic, cold-blooded animal, which means that it depends on the surrounding temperature to control its body temperature. As a result, reptiles cannot live in cold parts of the world. Reptiles include snakes, lizards, crocodiles, turtles, and dinosaurs. Uh, Ornithischians describes the bird-hipped dinosaur, one of the two major groups of dinosaurs. All dinosaurs are divided into two groups based on the structure of their pelvis, hip bones. All omniscience dinosaurs are herbivorous plant eaters. Saurischians describe the lizard-hipped dinosaurs, one of the two major groups of dinosaurs. All dinosaurs are divided into two groups based on the structure of their pelvis, hip bones. This group contain both herbivorous plant eaters and carnivorous flesh eaters. Mm. Here you can see Sorosian dinosaur. Uh, uh, Deinonychus was a Sorosian dinosaur. Its hip bones were uh, made up of pubis and ischium and ilium. Here you can see a hip socket, and here you can see ilium, pubis, and ischium. Here you can see ornithischian dinosaur. Uh, Pachycephalosaurus was an ornithischian dinosaur. Its hip bones were uh, made up of an ischium, a pubis with prepubis, and ilium. So here you can see hip socket, and you can see prepubis and pubis. And here you can see ilium, and here you can see ischium. So you can see the difference of hip bones. Now we are considering biggest and the smallest. The heavier than 8 African elephants and 25 meters or 82 feet long, the giant plant eater Brachiosaurus was one of the largest and longest dinosaurs. Compsognathus is the smallest known dinosaur at 70 centimeters, 2 feet 4 inches long, similar in size to the rooster. It was an agile and fast-moving flesh eater that weighed about 3 kilograms, 6.5 pounds. Saurian dinosaurs. Dinosaurs are divided into two groups based on the structure of their pelvis, hip bones. Saurian lizard hips dinosaurs and Ornithians bird hip dinosaurs. The pelvis is the bony structure that connect hind limbs and to the backbone. In all dinosaurs, the pelvic the pelvis consisted of 3 bones on each side of the hip, 2 lower bones, the pubis and the ischium, and the upper bone, the ilium, which was connected to the backbone. In Saurian dinosaurs, the pelvic resembles that found in the modern reptiles. Animals that have waterproof skin and legs. Each pubis pointed downwards and forwards, and each ischium pointed downwards and backwards. Saurians are divided into 2 subgroups. The theropods, beast-footed dinosaurs, and sauropodomorphs, lizard feet forms. Theropods, beast-footed dinosaurs were the killers of the dinosaur world. These Saurians were bipedal, 2-legged, and included all known carnivorous flesh-eating dinosaurs. Although theropods means beast foot, the foot of the theropod was actually very bird-like. Each foot had 3 toes for walking on the long foot bones that added to the length of the legs. Theropods typically had long muscular hind limbs, clawed hands, and a shaped neck, and hollow light bones to aid rapid movement. Theropods included the largest land-based carnivores such as fierce hunter Tyrannosaurus, the smallest of the dinosaurs, Compsognathus. The toothless theropods such as the ostrich-like Istiomimus and Deinonychus, which were a large claw, which used the glass claw on its foot to slash its prey. Many theropods have been almost endothermic, warm-blooded, and some may have had feathers. Some scientists now think that groups of small theropods which may have been feathered and warm-blooded were the ancestors of the first birds. Uh, Sauropodomos, podomops, sauropodomops, lizard feet forms were herbivorous plant-eating Saurians. They had a small head, long neck, bulky body, and long tail. They ranged. They ranged. They ranged in length from 2 meters, 6.5 feet to 40 meters, 130 feet. Most were quadrupedal, four-legged, although some were bipedal. Long-necked enabled them to browse high up on tree leaves and down low on ferns. Like modern herbivores, many sauropodomorphs lived and moved in herds. Sauropodomorphs were divided into two subgroups, prosauropods and sauropods. The prosauropods, early lizard-footed dinosaurs, included both bipedal and quadrupedal creatures and are thought to be the ancestors of the sauropods. Prosauropods, such as Plateosaurus and Ankylosaurus, were generally small in size than sauropods. Most prosauropods were herbivorous, although some may have been omnivorous, flesh and plant eaters. Sauropods, lizard-footed dinosaurs such as Brachiosaurus and Brosaurus were immense quadrupedal plant eaters. All had massive body with long neck and pillar-like legs. Some sauropods may have used their long whip-like tail to defend themselves against attack from predators. Some are thought to have reached speeds of up to 17 kilometers per hour, 10.5 miles per hour, and some may have lived up to 100 years. Ornithischian dinosaurs. All dinosaurs are grouped into two categories based on the structure of their pelvis, hip bones. These are the Ornithischian bird hip and the Saurian lizard hip dinosaurs. The pelvis in the bone is structure that connect to hind limbs to the backbone. In all dinosaurs, the pelvis consists of three bones on each side of the hip, two lower bones, pubis and ischium, and the upper bone, the ilium, which was connected to the backbone. The Ornithischian dinosaurs, the pelvic was very similar to that seen in living birds, with part of each pubis, with pubis slanted back parallel to the ischium. Ornithischians, all herbivorous plant-eating, are divided into three subgroups. These are the theropods, shield-bearing dinosaurs, ornithopods, bird-footed dinosaurs, and marginocephalians, margined head. Thyrophorans, shield-bearing dinosaurs, were a group of mainly quadrupedal four-legs ornithischians that fed by browsing on low-level vegetation. Their most distinctive feature was their protective body armor. There were three subgroups of Celidosaurs, a group of primitive bird-hipped dinosaurs, Stegosaurus, Stegosaurs, a group of armed four-legged dinosaurs, Ankylosaurus, a group of armored dinosaurs, The most primitive Celidosaurs, a group of primitive bird-hipped dinosaurs, were relatively small with bony stud protecting neck and body. The Stegosaurs, a group of well-armed four-legged dinosaurs, were medium-sized to large with the arched back. Their body armor consisted of two rows of tall vertical bony plates, sometimes with a spike, long neck and back and tail, and two pairs of long tail spines. Stegosaurus, the largest stegosaur, grew up to 9 meters 30 feet. The ankylosaurs were protected by bands of bony stud plates and spines, which covered upper part of the barrel-shaped body and reinforced the broad skull. Many ankylosaurs had a tail club, which was swung like a mallet to defend against predators. Ankylosaurs reached length up to 10 meters, 33 feet. Ornithopods, bird-footed dinosaurs, were bipedal, two-legged, herbivorous ornithischian dinosaurs with horned beak. They range in length from 2 meters, 6.5 feet to 15 meters, 49 feet. Typically, they had feet with 3 walking toes ending in hoof-like claws, hands with 4 or 5 fingers, and cheek teeth and jaws for effective chewing vegetation. A diverse group, the ornithopods included Hypsilophodonts, a group of two-legged bird-hipped dinosaurs, Iguanodonts, a group of two-legged two-legged bird-hipped dinosaurs were bulky, powerful ornithopods with thick, strong arms that may have supported them when they were walking on all fours or for forage for food. Many had a large thumb spike, which they may have used to stab an attacking predator. Hadrosaurs, duck-billed dinosaurs, had toothless duck-like bill containing hundreds of self-shaping cheek teeth. Some had a skull with bony crest, which may have used for making sounds. Marginocephalaceans, margined head were herbivorous ornithischians that had a narrow shelf or deep bony frill at the back of the skull. There were two subgroups: Pachycephalosaurs, thick-headed lizards, and ceratopsians, horned-faced dinosaurs. Pachycephalosaurs, thick-headed lizard, were bipedal marginocephalians that had a thick domed skull with knobs and sometimes spike. They had a broad, stocky body and range in length from 90 centimeters to 4.6 meters or 3 feet to 15 feet. Male Pachycephalosaurs may have used their doomed head for bouts and of headbutting when fighting over territory and females. Ceratopsians, horn-faced dinosaurs, were quadruped marginocephalians that had horns and bony head frill and toothless parrot-like beak used to chop vegetation. They range in length from 1.8 to 7.5, 6 feet to 25 feet, and many lived in herds. The frill and horns of ceratopsians may have been used to display purposes, and many have different in size between sexes, much as antler size differed between male and female deer.